I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well, mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy ball.
The tennis world has been shaken once again, and this time it has nothing to do with titles, rankings, or on-court rivalries. A new report from Coco Gauff has exposed explosive comments allegedly made by Aryna Sabalenka, remarks the WTA would much rather have kept behind closed doors. The reaction has been immediate and intense, with fans outraged, players split in opinion, and the pressure mounting as staying quiet is no longer an option. The big question now is whether the WTA will step in and address the controversy head-on, or if this situation will quietly fade away like so many others before. Let's break it all down.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, especially when you've been playing really great tennis during the whole week. You know, you've been playing against a lot of tough opponents, Olympic champion Iga, you know, and then you go out and you play really bad. Like, I don't know, I think if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win.
What began as a routine semifinal showdown between two of the WTA's biggest stars, Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka, quickly spiraled into one of the most disturbing controversies the sport has faced in years. The stage was set at the Wuhan Open, with a full crowd, flashing lights, and two elite competitors ready for a classic battle. Yet by the end, the tennis itself barely mattered. Instead of discussing serves or break points, all eyes turned to something Sabalenka was caught saying on camera. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a frustrated reaction after a costly mistake, the kind athletes show every match. But once clips spread online, fans replayed and enhanced the audio, and the tone of the moment shifted instantly. What emerged was not simple anger, but language many viewed as openly racist. Social media erupted within hours. Hashtags like #StandWithCoco and #RacismInTennis surged. Players distanced themselves, commentators struggled to respond live, and amid all the chaos, the WTA said nothing at all.
Congratulations, Coco. When Aryna sat here, she said that she thinks if Iga had won her, she wins the thing today because of how the match turned up. Do you think the way you play today, you beat anyone? It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net?
She said if I play Iga in the final.
She said that if we go, she didn't mention exactly winning you, but she said if Iga won me, she would win the thing.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here, and last time I played, no, like to Iga or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So, yeah, I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
It felt like the most powerful body in women's tennis believed that staying quiet would make the controversy disappear. But this was a moment that refused to fade. Coco Gauff, widely seen as the symbol of tennis's next generation, had been publicly disrespected on a global stage, and the entire sport waited for her reaction. For a full day, she said absolutely nothing, no posts, no interviews, not even a hint online, only silence. Some assumed her team was managing the situation, while others believed she was taking time to absorb what had happened, yet most people understood the truth. Coco speaks only when her message carries weight, and when she finally chose to break her silence, everything came to a standstill.
Because anything can really happen, and yeah, honestly, I mean, the way Aryna was playing the last few weeks, she was the favorite to win. So I think she was the best person that I could have played in the final. Her being #1 in the world, she was the best person to play. So I think I got the hardest matchup just if you go off stats alone. Obviously, Iga being a champion here.
Facing a crowded press room, she appeared composed yet unshakable, showing no tears or rage, only purpose. She opened with a short but powerful message, saying she wasn't there to create conflict, but to demand fairness, and those words landed heavier than any winning shot. In that moment, the situation shifted from controversy to principle, from headlines to human dignity. Coco went on to explain that she had worked too hard to allow her identity to be boxed into a label or stereotype, and that she expected the same basic respect given to every athlete, nothing extra, nothing less. The room fell completely quiet before applause filled the space. Even seasoned reporters stopped probing, because it was clear this moment reached far beyond the sport itself. She never mentioned Aryna by name, and she didn't need to, because everyone understood exactly who the message was meant for.
I mean, she's probably emotional about it, so I'm not going to take it with too much anything. And I do hope people give her a little bit of...
That response is exactly what set Coco apart. She didn't explode online or chase sympathy with emotional posts. She delivered the truth calmly and with dignity. But that's when the situation began to unravel even further. Aryna Sabalenka's side went completely quiet for nearly 2 days. Her agent refused to speak. Her coach couldn't be reached. And the WTA released a vague line saying the issue was being reviewed, which many took as uncertainty rather than control. By that point, the fallout was unavoidable. As the audio continued spreading, fans and media started revisiting past interviews, old clips, and previous remarks linked to Aryna. While a small group rushed to defend her, the majority of the public had already made up their minds, and the narrative was no longer in her favor.
The last one. You talk about the power of social media to help tell your story, but do you think at the end of the day you're still a little bit misunderstood for who you are?
No, I think nowadays people know me as a player and as a person. Like, I feel like people know that, okay, of course she's aggressive, she's passionate, she's focused, and she's fighting for her dream, but also, of course, she's fun and she's nice, she's chill, and she's a completely different person. So I think now people knows me. Maybe like that little situation after French Open, some people don't really understand the intensity of everything, and that you lose the final of the biggest tournament, and then you go to the media straight away, and you're so like frustrated, so like pissed on yourself, and you're just trying to figure what just happened, and you don't think clean, and then you make this comment, and people go like, like they forget completely about like who you are, like the rest of.
One of the loudest defenses coming from her supporters was the familiar claim that she didn't mean it that way. They pointed to the pressure of the moment, the intensity of competition, and even suggested it was a simple language mix-up. Emotions were high, they said, stress took over, they insisted, and translation was to blame. But for many watching, that explanation rang hollow, because history has shown that prejudice doesn't disappear just because it's wrapped in excuses or softened by claims of misunderstanding. The backlash only intensified because many fans rejected the idea that racist language can be accidental, arguing that pressure doesn't create beliefs, it exposes them, and that's why the outrage went far beyond one moment on court. While the debate raged, Coco Gauff continued to carry herself with professionalism, and her coach Diego Moiano later shared that she broke down after the match, not over defeat, but because she felt invisible despite the work she pours into the sport every day. Her parents were shaken yet proud, with her mother reminding her that grace is strength held in control, words that quickly became Coco's guiding principle. By the next morning, she was already back in training, skipping interviews and online noise, as a single photo of her walking into the practice facility with headphones on spread rapidly, perfectly summing up her mindset. She doesn't argue, she prepares. Meanwhile, Aryna Sabalenka remained silent for days before releasing a brief Instagram post that many felt dodged responsibility, referencing high emotions and misunderstandings without offering a direct apology, which only fueled frustration among fans who saw it as damage control rather than accountability. As criticism mounted, the WTA issued a short statement promising an internal review and reaffirming its values, language many interpreted as an attempt to contain the situation rather than confront it. Prominent figures including Serena Williams, Billie Jean King, Naomi Osaka, and even Rafael Nadal publicly supported Coco, praising her composure and calling for stronger action against racism in tennis, while a smaller group defended Aryna by pointing to language barriers, an argument that failed to gain traction. Behind the scenes, Coco leaned on family support, determined not to let the incident define her career, and soon transformed the moment into action by partnering with equality-focused organizations and launching the Serve Right campaign to promote fairness and inclusion in youth sports. The movement spread quickly across multiple sports, reached schools and communities, and ultimately pushed the WTA to announce cultural awareness training for players and staff, marking a shift the organization had long avoided and cementing Coco Gauff not just as a rising champion, but as a catalyst for change. But make no mistake, this moment didn't magically fix everything. Aryna Sabalenka's team remained in full damage control mode, insisting she had offered private apologies to Coco, though no confirmation ever surfaced. At the same time, reporters continued pressing Coco about the situation at every stop, and each time she shut it down with the same steady response, saying she had already spoken and her focus was back on tennis. That balance of calm and firmness said everything. While Aryna's statements felt cautious and incomplete, Coco let her game do the talking, rolling through matches and pushing all the way into the next Grand Slam, turning criticism into fuel. Slowly, fans began to see her as more than an athlete. Each appearance felt symbolic, each victory carried meaning, and the crowd wasn't just cheering for wins anymore, but for the values she stood for: fairness, equality, and strength without bitterness. Even skeptics had to admit her composure was remarkable for someone so young. Later, when asked how she stayed so controlled, Coco credited her upbringing, saying that silence can sometimes speak louder than shouting, and she chose her moment carefully. That response sealed it. Instead of demanding punishments or creating chaos, she reshaped the conversation entirely. In the weeks that followed, the fallout escalated behind the scenes as sponsors quietly pressured the WTA for answers, with some warning they could reconsider future support if meaningful action wasn't taken, turning the controversy from headlines into a serious business problem. The sport could no longer ignore. Every sports network seemed to roll out the same headline, labeling it the Gauff-Sabalenka controversy, as analysts endlessly debated whether Aryna's words were misunderstood or deliberate. No matter the angle, the outcome was clear. Aryna's public image kept slipping while Coco's standing continued to rise. The twist was that Coco never tried to tear anyone down. She didn't demand punishments or call for suspensions. She spoke honestly and went straight back to competing, and that restraint is what won people over. Fans responded to quiet resolve far more than to loud justifications. Meanwhile, Aryna's camp pushed out carefully managed interviews and posts about learning and growth, but the online world moved on without forgetting, and the reaction she received at tournaments told the story. When both players faced the media on the same day at a later event, reporters tried to spark drama, asking if they had spoken since, but Coco calmly replied that they were professionals and her focus was on her game, a brief answer that closed the door completely. Aryna's responses, by contrast, sounded rehearsed and distant. As one struggled to recover, the other kept building something bigger, with Coco's Serve Right campaign spreading rapidly as young athletes, schools, and even fellow players shared its message of respect. What began as an ugly episode ultimately became a catalyst, as Coco Gauff didn't just earn admiration from fans, she helped push the WTA toward a new standard of accountability. The WTA responded by rolling out mandatory cultural awareness and respect training for all players, a move clearly inspired by Coco's poised yet unwavering stance. When asked how she felt about the new rule, she simply said, "Progress is slow, but it's still progress," showing her humility and focus on the bigger picture. That mindset carried over when she later lifted the Miami Open trophy, a victory that symbolized far more than points or rankings. Looking into the camera, she reflected, "Winning is great, but standing for something bigger than yourself, that's what lasts." Turning a painful controversy into a lasting lesson, dignity, calm strength, and integrity always leave a mark, even when the system is slow to catch up.